This presentation is on Chapter 11, Digestive System, Understand Procedure Coding and Work Text, 4th edition. So when we're talking about our digestive system, and we've all had A&P, midterm, and so forth, we are looking at the different body areas of the lips, the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, intestines, rectum, anus. But we're also going to include with that the accessory structures of the liver, the biliary tract, the pancreas, the abdomen, peritoneum, and omentum. So the procedures that we're going to cover for reporting codes are going to be procedures performed on those different body areas which make up are the components of the digestive system. If you would please make sure you pull out your coding manual and flip over to the section for digestive system. That's following the ones we covered in our last class with the hemic and lymphatic and the mediastinum and the diaphragm. The next section in our coding manual will be your digestive system. And of course you got your coding guidelines as it is with all of your sections. If you notice on the first page, starting that section for the digestive system, it starts off with that of the lips. Alright, so all our procedures in this section is going to be for the lips, and we know what the lips are, and this is going to include the vermilion, which is that pinkish border of our lips. Under this section of lips, you have it starts off with your excision procedures. That will be your biopsies and things like that. Resections all fall under your excision section for your lips. And following that, you have your repair section, and this is where you have what we call your chyloplasty. All right, that falls under this section. You need to know the type of deformity that they are correcting. Your repairs can be partial, complete, unilateral, bilateral repairs, and if you're looking in your coding manual, you can see that reflected in that section. You also may need to know whether they perform a rhinoplasty or not. It may make a difference in this code that you are going to report. All right. Then it ends up there in your other procedure section. You have an unlisted procedure code 40799. Now after your lips, it goes to the vestibule of the mouth. That's starting off with your code 40800. Here that includes your mucosal tissue and your submucosal tissue of your lips and your cheek. That's what the components that make up the vestibule of your mouth. And so our procedures are on that portion. You start off with your incision, and in your incision section, that's where you have your drainages of your abscess and your cyst. You have a removal of a foreign body and an incision on what we call your frenum. Okay? From your incision, we go to your excision and your destruction code. Here is where your biopsy is going to be located. And these codes are going to be differentiated by the I'm jumping into the repair. I'm reading too fast, too late. So incision destruction, that's your biopsies, your incisions, your destruction of lesions, and then your repair codes are the ones that are going to be differentiated by the type of repair completed. So you see here, you got a laceration closure and a vestibuloplasty there, and it's differentiated by the different sections in which that procedure was taking place. And then it follows up with the other procedure code for your unlisted procedure. Okay? Now, from your vestibule, if you flip over in your coding manual, It takes you to the tongue and floor of the mouth. That's on your code 4100, and that's your incision section. In your textbook, it tells you you need to be familiar with the terms lingual and sublingual, because if you're looking in your coding manual, you see the usage of that term under that tongue and floor section. So lingual means tongue, sublingual means under the tongue. All right, and then frenum, we just made reference to that term, and that is that connection between the tongue and the floor of the mouth. So looking at your different procedures for tongue and floor, it starts off with your incision codes here, and you can notice right off, if you're looking in your manual, it's separated by intraoral and extraoral incisions. And we are incising our abscesses, our cysts, and our hematomas here. And it's differentiated by the area of the tongue or the floor of the mouth that's being treated here. So if you're looking in your coding and you see where it says sublingual, superficial, submandibular space, so therefore we can see how that's true there. Then in your code 41019 is for needle placement, catheter placements, and so forth, and devices. That's what that code there is going to be for. Now from your incision, we go to our excision codes for the tongue and the floor of the mouth. That's again your biopsies, excisional lesions. Here you got your glossectomy located in this section, and they're either partial or complete, removal of the tongue. And then you got tracheostomy procedures that are parts of some of these codes, for example, like in your 41145. If you're noticing each section that we're going through, it's a repetition of these same procedures on different body areas. That's all it is. So as we go along, we can get faster and faster because we know what an incision is, we know what a repair is, or excision, and so forth. We're just in a different spot on the body. All right, so that's your incision. We got 3 repair codes for your tongue and floor of the mouth. And here you see laceration repairs, and it's based on what portion of the tongue that we're looking at. So in your book, it tells you it's differentiated by size of the laceration and repair and the site of the repair, and we see that reflected. In your other procedures section, you have a couple things going on here. It's usually a compilation of different codes that are not falling in any of the other sections. So you got sutures of the tongue here. You got ablation, frenoplasty here as well, and an unlisted procedure code, which includes part of that section there. Now, once we leave the tongue and the floor of the mouth, the next section in our coding manual, we see dental alveolar structures, dental alveolar structures. Very tongue-tied. There's a lot of complex terms here. And so basically all that's talking about is your gums and your alveolus, right? And the alveolus is that place where that tooth sits there in your gum. So we got procedures on these structures here. Your procedures start with your incision codes. You have 3 here. You got your drainage of your abscess and your cysts and your hematomas. Then you got removal of foreign body. And that removal of your foreign body is going to either be from your soft tissue or bone. So that's how that is differentiated. From your incision, you go to excision and destruction of your dental alveolar structures. You got a couple things that's falling here. That's your gingivectomy. Your operculectomy is here. Incisional lesions and tumors. Alveolectomy is in here, and destruction of a lesion is found in that section. Then you have other procedure section codes there that's starting off with your 41870. You got grafting here, you got gingivoplasty or alveoloplasty, and an unlisted procedure that's falling under your other procedure codes. I got a little ahead of myself. Those are those I was just speaking of for your dental alveolar structures. Now, moving on to the next side, it goes to your palate and your uvula. And your palate basically is the roof of your mouth, and that uvula is that little thing that hangs from the back of your throat there. Little cone-shaped mass that your book calls it. That's your uvula. So you got some procedures on all those structures. You got one incision code for abscess on your palate or your uvula. And then you have your incision and destruction procedures next. That's your incision, your lesions, your biopsies, your uvulectomies, resections, and so forth, destruction of lesions. That all falls under your incision and destruction. No, nothing different there. And then you go to your repair codes for your palate and your uvula. That's your laceration repairs, your palatoplasty. You have palate lengthening as well here, repair of fistulas here as well. And then you have one code on your other procedure code, which is an unlisted code. One thing, if I back up just a little bit there in your repair section that I really do need to mention is when you're coding in that section. Your book tells you that the codes are differentiated by whether a closure was completed. And that's in your excision section, because if you look in there, you'll see like for example, 42104 is an excision lesion of palate uvula without closure. Then in your 42107 has a local flap closure. So you need to figure out from your documentation whether there was a closure or not. All right, if you go on from your palate and uvula, it takes us to our salivary glands and our ducts. All right, and here we have 3 pairs of salivary glands. This is back in A&P, your parotid, your sublingual, and your submandibular glands. Here, so you got procedures on these glands. You got incision, that's where abscesses that occur there. And if you notice, you have simple and complicated. You got lithotomy. It's hard to say, lithotomy. That's also in this section as well. From there you have your excision. That's where your biopsies are going to be. Your excision or tumors will fall under there. You also have a marsupialization code that falls under your excision section for your salivary glands and ducts. Repair codes here. You have plastic repair with your salivary duct, and you got a parotid duct diversion. Whether it's one gland, both glands, with ligation of both glands, so forth. You got closures on your other procedures, because from repair you go to other procedures. You got injections, closures, dilations, and you have unlisted procedure codes. It's really, again, nothing out of the ordinary there. Alright, so from there we're going to go to your pharynx, your adenoids, and your tonsils. Okay, so what is your pharynx? A&P, throat. Pharynx is another way to say throat. And then you have, again in this section, your adenoids, and then you have your tonsils. And adenoids are nothing but tonsils as well. So in this section here, you have incision. For them, you got 3 codes, and for your incision of your abscesses here, then you got excision and destruction codes for your removal of the foreign body. You got your tonsillectomy will be found here. Adenoidectomy is also found under your incision and destruction. Radical resection, a pharyngectomy is also here. All your ectomies, destruction of lesions, same thing, just on pharynx, adenoids, and tonsils. Okay. The codes for your tonsillectomy and your adenoidectomy, if you notice here, that's right in your code 42820, and a couple more right below it you see is by age. That's something we can point out there. They got them differentiated by age. Also, something else you need to know is, according to your textbook here, they let you know that most of these codes are bilateral, and so you only need to use modifier 50 unless it says it's unilateral. So most of these are going to be bilateral, meaning we won't have need for using the modifier 50 for the most part. Alright, our repair codes, you got 3 codes here for your pharynx, adenoids, and tonsils, suture, pharyngoplasties here, and a pharyngoesophageal repair. Then you have your other procedure codes. You have a pharyngostomy under here, and you got hemorrhages under this other procedure section as well. Alright, so from that, you're going to go to your esophagus. Alright? And under your esophagus, that starts off with code 43020. And it starts off with your incision code. And under there you have your esophagotomy. You have your cricopharyngeal myotomy here under incision. Under excision, you have your excision code. You have for your incision of your lesions, you got your esophagectomy here as well. And if you notice, you see under your esophagectomy, you got total or near total, complete types of esophagectomy. You also got partial esophagectomy. Alright, so you need to pay attention to that. You got diverticulectomy, diverticulectomy, oh my goodness, sorry, diverticulectomy, also falling under your excision section. These words are something else. From there, under esophagus, you got your endoscopy codes or endoscopy procedures. So when you have an endoscopy procedure for your esophagus, what do you have? An esophagoscopy, right? And just like your other endoscopy procedures, you can have diagnostic or surgical endoscopic procedures, all right? Conscious sedation is included in most of these procedures here. If this endoscopic procedure turns into an open procedure, your book tells you you're going to have to report modifier 58. Now, in this section for your endoscopy for your esophagus, there's quite a few codes. There's probably a couple of pages devoted to that in your coding manual. And so what's going on here is they take that endoscope and they move it down through your esophagus. And so depending on where they end up, that will be how they will term that procedure. So for example here, like for example, your code 43233, that's called an esophagogastroduodenoscopy, right? And basically what that's telling you is that they took that endoscope and it went from the esophagus into the stomach and then into the duodenum and maybe part of the jejunum, and then we're going to call that an esophagogastroduodenoscopy, right? So it's based on where that scope ended up, okay? And so as you're flipping through, you see a little picture of that under your code 43235. It gives you a nice picture of how that scope is all the way down there in your duodenum and how it goes through the stomach. That's a good visualization. Alright, and if you go even further into this section, like I said, it's a large little section here. If you look at in your code range there for your 43270, 43260, that's what I'm looking for. Hold on, so many here. No, I'm looking for, yeah, your 43259, and then 43260. You got an endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography, which is also easier way to say that as the ERCP. I think we might have watched, well, I have a video on that, so I have a link for you to look at that. So it's an endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography, ERCP. So, and we know when we're talking about your cholangio, we're talking about bile duct, right? So basically, this is a radiographic exam of your bile duct using some contrast medium. That's basically what's going on. Here we call it ERCP. Okay. They can have other procedures that they complete during that ERCP, like inserting a tube or stent. They can be doing some biopsies, some ablations, or something like that. If they use a separate approach for these other procedures, then we have to use modifier 51. All right. You also have there under. Start with your 43279 for your esophagus. That's your laparoscopy procedures, which is a scope, kind of like an endoscope that they use to complete the procedures. You see some pictures of that there, like 43280 laparoscopic fundoplasty. Okay. There's some nice pictures there. And then from there you got your repair section. That's starting with your code 43300. And so you got your esophagoplasties here under that section. Fundoplasties are also here. Okay, under your repair. And so basically here in this section you're going to need to know the approach. All right, abdominal, cervical, or thoracic. So if you look in there, you can see there where they have a transthoracic approach. You can see that apparently in that section as you look through it. Like for example, your code 43340, 43341. You see where those different types of approaches are coming into play. Alright, you're also going to have differentiation to occur based on different procedures that they're performing in addition to the esophagoplasty. Alright, like fistulas, repairing fistulas, or something of that, hernia, or something like that. Alright, then you go to the manipulation. Okay, and under your manipulation, you got dilation procedures that are occurring under there. And basically, manipulation is they are manipulating, maneuvering something by hand, and dilation means they're stretching something open. So you got procedures there for that. And then you have your two codes on your other procedure code, one of them being your unlisted procedure. Okay. From there, from your esophagus, then we move on to the stomach. So we're making our way through this digestive tract. Under your stomach, it starts off with your incision type procedures. That's your code starts with the 43500. You got your gastrotomy here. You got your pyloromyotomy here as well. And then it moves on to your excision codes, and that's your gastrectomy, your biopsies, your vagotomy is here as well. And then from there, you got your laparoscopy. Under your laparoscopy for your stomach, this is where your gastric bypass surgeries will be coded from, and there will be a video link for that one for your viewing pleasure as well. And so we know that gastric bypasses, when they go in and take some of part of that they take part of that stomach out so that people can lose weight. And so we will code from that section. You also have some other codes in that section dealing with implementation or placement of electrodes, translation of vagus nerves, gastrostomy without construction of a gastric tube. Your book just kind of lists it out, and then also has an unlisted code for that section. Now, from your laparoscopy would be your introduction codes. You got tube placements in here under your introduction section. You got intubation and aspiration also located here. And so with those tubes, they are placement, they got changing, repositioning of the tubes, all those types of things falling under your introduction section. It tells you a notation here in your textbook that if this is in reference to your critical care and you report critical care code, then you're not going to code from this section. All right, so those don't go together. Now from there, we just talked about your gastric bypass, and we got some other bariatric type surgeries going on here. And with the bariatric surgery, that's like your lap bands and stuff of that nature. And it tells you here codes are differentiated by the components of the procedure completed in relationship to that device. All right. So again, you got placement, revision, removal of the device. Those types of coding will be done there. From there, you got your other procedures where you got a pyloroplasty here. What else? You got gastrojejunostomy. You got gastrorestrictive procedures falling under your other procedure code. Again, it's just a combination of codes that's not fitting anywhere else. Over here, 43846 is a picture of a gastric bypass, how that works out. A good visual there. If you're look up that code, you can see that in your coding manual. Alright. From your stomach, we go to intestines. So we got a bunch of procedures here for our intestines. You got your large intestine, your small intestine, and of course part of your large intestine will include your colon, and it has the 4 parts of your colon. That's all good and well. That's all your A and P stuff, so we're not going to really spend time reviewing that. You can review that on your own if you need to. But it starts off with our incision code for our intestines. You got interliasis, a procedure that's removing those intestinal adhesions. That's going to be under your incision section. You got enterotomy here. You got your colotomies here as well, all falling under your incision duodenectomy. Right? And then from there we go to excision. And under your excision code for your intestines, it talks about anastomosis. And if you're looking down, like for example 44110, it uses that terminology, and it reminds you that anastomosis means that we're surgically connecting two structures. Right? You should already, that should be a familiar term to you already. So under this section, you got your biopsies, your enterectomies are under here, your enterostomy, enterostomy, right? Ooh, I'm having a hard time today. You also have a couple of codes following your decisions for allotransplantation, right? So you got the donor code, your backbench, and your recipient codes. Those are the three sections every time we're dealing with those three components every time we're dealing with transplantation, whether it be your heart, your lungs. And so now we're doing allotransplantation for in your intestines. Okay, so that's the same principle. So that's nothing, should be nothing new for you there. All right, so from your excision, well, I failed to mention colectomies are also in your excision code. You got a partial colectomy and a total colectomy. All right, and then you got other procedures that they sometimes are performing with those codes that makes a difference as well. But now from your excision, we're going to go to your laparoscopy. All right, and you know what your laparoscopy is. We already talked about that. So this is your laparoscopy for your intestines. And then from your laparoscopy, you got your endoscopy. All right, you got well, let's go back to laparoscopy. Let me say one thing about that. A lot of times with your laparoscopic procedures, while they're performing that, they will do some extensive removal of adhesions, but most of the time the insurance is not going to cover that because they're going to consider that to be part of the overall procedure. However, if it takes an inordinate amount of time, then the physician can document that in the medical record, and you may or may not, there's a chance you could get some reimbursement for that. Your book was, I want to bring that out, your book was mentioning that about your laparoscopy. Alright? So, moving on, your enterostomy. You have your enterostomy for your ileostomies, your genostomies, or your colostomy procedures. Alright? And so basically when you code in that session, you just need to know what part of the intestine we're doing this procedure on. And then from there, you have your endoscopy for your small intestine and your stoma. That's starting your code off there with your 44360. Alright? A stoma, surgical opening between a part of the intestine and the outside surfaces of the skin of the abdomen. That's what a stoma is. And so basically when you're looking under there, you'll see them doing these endoscopies, and they have some additional procedures that they may perform here, like a biopsy, removal of foreign body, so forth. So you need to realize what you're dealing with there, because that determines the code selection. Right? You got ileoscopies, you put the scopy on the end of that body part that we're scoping. So that's nothing new here. From there, you have your introduction. You got one code there, your 44500. Introduction of long gastrointestinal tube. Alright? But it tells you that if you got an NG tube, then you're going to use the code 43752. So you're not going to use the code from here. So it's not referring to a nasal or gastric tube here. Okay. We do have a video on your GI tube. And And we have a video for your PEG tube and your NG tube, and that's the nasal gastro tube. We have videos for it. And basically, your PEG tube, your GI tube, they tend to be more long-term, whereas your nasal gastric tubes are more short-term type situations when they place it. Usually they'll place it in there to kind of assist patients when they're not eating well or things like that. They'll use all to deliver some medication or something like that. So again, your PEG tubes tend to be more long-term. Your nasal gastric tubes are more short-term, and also your nasal gastric tube, sometimes you'll hear that called a Miller-Abbott. Right, Miller-Abbott. So if you look at 44500, it'll tell you that, for example, Miller-Abbott. Right? And that's a separate procedure code as well. I'm just wanting to mention that means, you know, of course, it can't be, if you're going to use that code, it can't be in conjunction with the larger procedure. Alright, from there you got your repair code. You have suturing going on here, closure going on here as well. So suturing and closures of fistulas and things of this like. You got placation procedure as well going on in that section. Alright, under your other procedure code, you have codes for backbench work. Like, for example, your 44715. Preparation of a donor, 44705. Alright? So basically, this is looking at like a transplant, those three components, so that they're falling there under this other procedure section. You got your a little small section here called your Meckel's diverticulum and the mesentery. You got excision for your Meckel's diverticulum, and you got excision lesions for your mesentery. You got one suture code, that's your 44850 for your mesentery, and then you got an unlisted procedure code 44899. Very small section there. All right. After that, we move to our appendix. Okay, and everybody knows they always tell you, you know, they really don't know what the real purpose for your appendix is, but we have appendix and we can have procedures on that. A common one we got under our appendix, we got one code for your excision, a 44900 for abscess for your appendix. But a very common procedure falls under our excision section, that's your appendectomy. Alright. Now it has an interesting note there under your 44950. It says incidental appendectomy during intra-abdominal surgery does not usually warrant a separate identification if necessary to report at modifier 52. So basically, if they're doing some type of abdominal surgery and they happen to do an appendectomy, they're trying to tell you that that's usually not reported. If it needs to be, we're going to use modifier 52. So that's an interesting note. You got 44960 for ruptured appendix with abscess. That's on your incision. And then from there, you have two codes for laparoscopy. One is an unlisted code, and that makes up your appendix section. Alright, and from there, you go to your rectum. That starts your code 45000. And here, it starts with your incision procedures. There are three for abscesses, cranial abscesses. And then your excision codes, you got your biopsies, you got your prostatectomies, right? Anorectal myomectomy, right? Yeah, excision in this section, all right? And from your excision code, then you go to destruction code for rectal tumors. You got a nice picture there, 45171 through 45172, showing the tumor, and they're going to use a cautery instrument to extract that tumor from the rectum. Okay. Then you have your endoscopy codes. That's your scope, right? And you got a couple of notes there in front of those codes. And so based on using the scope, you can have a proctosigmoidoscopy, you can have a sigmoidoscopy, a colonoscopy. All right, will all fall under those scope type procedures. All right. And you have a couple of pages on that. So like 4, 5, 3, 7, 8 shows a picture of a colonoscopy. Very interesting. Laparoscopy will be your next section under your rectum. And then you have from there, it's nothing different. It's broken down into excisions, laparoscopic incisions, and laparoscopic repairs. Then you have your regular repair codes, your proctoplasties. Here, closures of fistulas are here under your repair code. And then you have a manipulation section for your reductions, dilations, and removals of foreign bodies, dilation of your sphincters, that type of thing going on there. And then you have 2 codes for other procedures. You got an anorectal exam, and then you got an unlisted procedure code, 45999. Alright, from your rectum we go to the anus. We're getting close to the end, huh? So with your anus, you have a lot going on here with hemorrhoids, because that's where they usually occur. So you have some codes here dealing with hemorrhoids. Now your anus section starts off with a couple of incision codes, removal of anal feton, abscess, incision and drainages. Here you got also you have some hemorrhoid codes. And you also have hemorrhoid codes going from in your incision, and you also got hemorrhoid codes in your excision. Now, when we're talking about hemorrhoids, there are different types. Your book brings that out. And so a lot of your codes here for these procedures are going to be based on complications that people are having with hemorrhoids. So you can have internal, external, combined, or mixed hemorrhoids. In some types of complications, you can have a prolapse hemorrhoid, thrombosed hemorrhoid, strangulated, ulcerated hemorrhoids. Your book does a great job of defining each one of those, but you got to pay attention to what's going on in terms of complications and types of hemorrhoids and any other factors that play into that and that affect your code assignment. All right, and so we talked about your incisions here, and then your excisions, like a hemorrhoidectomy, right? Incision of a hemorrhoid. You have here, and you see some of the different types of things going on, like a fissure, a fistula, removal of fistula, removal of fissure, that comes into play with your hemorrhoid. You got a picture here, 46250 through 46262, of an internal prolapse hemorrhoid column. Showing you how that kind of goes. Alright, and from there, you have your introduction for under your anus section, and you have 2 codes there, one for injection and one for a chemodenervation for your anal sphincter. Then you got endoscopies for your anus, so that's an anoscopy, right? And it's divided out with biopsy, with dilation, with removal, with different little procedures that's going to differentiate the way that code is going to be taken care of. From there, you have your repair for your anus. You got anoplasties. You got sphincteroplasties here. Pair of fistulas in the anus. So you got different things going on in terms of repair. Hemorrhoidopexy, prolapse. Alright? And then you have destruction codes. Destruction of lesions in your anus, different ways. So that you see, if you look there at your code 46900, and you see that they have it divided out based on how they're going to do the destruction. Is it cryosurgery, laser, so forth. Destruction of hemorrhoids is also here. Fissures, destruction of a fissure. And then you got an unlisted procedure code under your other procedures section. That closes out your procedures on the anus. And from there we go to some of your accessory structures in the digestive system, starting with your liver. Alright? Liver, you have your incision section for your liver. You got a hepatotomy that falls in there, and a laparotomy. Hepatotomy and a laparotomy that falls under your liver in the excision procedure section. Under excision, you have your biopsies and your hepatectomy. And then you have a section for liver transplantation with those three components that we talked about. Your donor, your backbench, and your recipient code. So that's nothing new there. Repair for your liver, you got marsupialization going on. Hemorrhages, repair of hemorrhages is also there. And then you got your laparoscopy. You got 3 laparoscopy codes for your liver. And then your other procedure codes, you got ablation there and an unlisted procedure code. From there, you go to your biliary tract. Your biliary tract is basically your liver, your gallbladder, and your bile ducts. And in this section, you got to know the approach to select your code. You start off with your incision code. You got a hepatocotomy in here, a choledochotomy here, a sphincterotomy, and a cholecystotomy, all falling under your incision for your biliary tract. You got your introduction code, percutaneous cholecystotomy. Oh my goodness. Is under that section. You got injection procedures, introducing of catheters, and a revision of a transhepatic tube, all falls in the introduction section. You got endoscopy, of course, surgical endoscopy always includes your diagnostic. That's always stays the same. You got your laparoscopies, so endoscopies and laparoscopies. Your excision code. That's your cholecystectomies. You got stone extraction in that section. You got a excision of tumors and cysts. Then from there, we got repair codes. And you see your anastomosis. Now you got to pay close attention to these anastomosis because they're throwing them in a lot of different sections, so you have to pay attention to the anastomosis procedures. And your book tells you that. You got reconstructions under your repair as well. And then you got your unlisted procedure code for your biliary tract under 47999. That takes us to the pancreas. That starts with code 48000. And you have 3 incision codes, placement of drains for pancreatitis and removal of a calculus. And you got your excision, that's your biopsies, your resections, your pancreatectomies. There, you got subtotal, total pancreatectomy. Your introduction, it just has one add-on code. That's your 48400 for injection procedures. Then you go to the repair section. You got marsupialization. You got your pancreatography here in your repair. And then you got a pancreas transplantation. 3 components: your donor, backbench, and your recipient. Same thing. And then you got your unlisted procedure code under your other procedure section. Very redundant, but it should be helpful in terms of being very familiar with how you need to code. The final section is for your abdomen, your peritoneum, and your omentum. And with that, you have your incision section. You got exploratory laparotomy here. You got drainage of abscesses, drainages of lymphocytes and apparencentesis, all falling in a lavage under your incision. Now, on your excision destruction codes, you got your biopsies, your destruction of tumors, your umbilectomies, and your omentectomies on your excision section. Then you have your laparoscopy for this section, and then your introduction, revision, and removal. Under there, you got removal of foreign bodies, you got injection procedures, placement of devices are in here, removal of catheters, insertions of a shunt, revisions, ligations, removals of shunt, all falling under your introduction, revision, and removal section of coding. You got a conversion of a tube, because if you notice in your when you're looking at that introduction, revision, and removal, it has it broken up into parts. So you have an initial placement where they insert tube under that, and then they converting a tube on the conversion, and then they're replacing tubes on the replacement. Then they got mechanical removal of obstructive material section. So they broke that down. And then from there, they have a repair section. And with your hernia repairs, you got a hernioplasty, herniorrhaphy, and a herniatomy. And you got different types of hernia. So when you code in there, you got to know the type of hernia. You got inguinal, you got indirect inguinal, direct inguinal, hiatal hernia, incisional hernia, strangulated hernia, ventral hernia, and again, you can read those definitions to those different types of hernias in your textbook. I'm trying to see if they have any pictures. I don't think they have any pictures in the coding manual of your code. So you got to know your type of hernia, and then you also need to know whether it's initial or recurrent hernia. Alright, and in some of these codes, you need to know the patient's age and the clinical presentation of the hernia in order to code it. And when we talk about clinical presentation, we're saying, is it a reducible, is it incarcerated, or is it a strangulated hernia? Alright. And if you notice as well, that repair section, if you flip one page over, you'll see it has a small section for laparoscopy method for these procedures, starting with your code 49650. So laparoscopic repairs. Then you got one code for suture, secondary of abdominal wall for evisceration or dehiscence. That's 49900. And then you close out with your other procedures section, and you see a lot of something about flaps, omental and free omental flaps, and then you got an unlisted procedure that closes out at 49999. All right, this is going to conclude our digestive system presentation on chapter 11.